Yo, what are you doing right now?
The big V. Look, man.
All right, man. Let's just jump right into this shit.
I made my wife wake up and drive me there anyway.
¿Es
a major?
Pasa con eso? Pasa con español?
¿Qué pasó, papá? ¿Cómo estás? Any questions?
Now, when you bought that sweater, right? You just go, fuck it. I'm going full Mr. Rogers. You've tuned into the Man Chatter podcast.
And we are live. That was kind of weak.
New Man Chatter. New Man Chatter. It wasn't that weak. Fuck you. Yo, man. First of all, welcome back to my show as the guy who just is on the other side of the screen. Because it was pointed out to me that you don't talk much because I don't let you talk. Because I run you over. I'm like Zeke with a good offensive line.
Hey, right now I'm hearing you, but no one else is because I control the show. So while your mouth is running, no one can hear the words that are coming out of it. So you were saying?
Did you just Chris Tucker me, son?
So you were saying?
Did you just Chris Tucker me?
I can't understand the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Oh man! So I watched that movie last week. Because shout out to YouTube TV. That one thing I do like about them that I'm a big fan of is the unlimited DVR because it's all in the cloud.
Yeah.
And any movie that plays at any point, and like they keep it for X amount of time, so I could go back and search for it, and it's in like I don't even have to like save it to have it stored. Mm-hmm. So that's dope. So I watched Rush Hour. I was like, yo, this movie's still fucking funny, bro. It's not as funny as Life because I think that's one of my favorite comedy movies of all time.
That's a classic. That's a go-to pretty much any time. But Rush Hour, man, I don't think you can go wrong with Rush Hour. It's not quite like Life, but you can watch that any time and still laugh your ass off.
100%. Oh, that's what I should have brought it up before we hit that record button. What would you consider Life like an underrated comedy? Because I don't know if a lot of people know about Life. Like, son, when they're standing on top of the Coke bottles, and he goes, "Damn it!" He goes, "Damn it, Joe," or whatever. Damn it, my pinky my pinky got locked in. So every time I can't even get through that line without laughing.
I think people know about it. At least people that know about comedy or funny movies.
Right.
But it probably doesn't get that. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't get the widespread like acknowledgement like other movies. It wasn't a big pop culture thing, Yeah, but I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't call it a cult classic. It's not down to that level where it's only followed by a group of people. But it is underrated if you think about it.
Yeah, I would consider it under like the fact that like Bernie Mac randomly in that movie. Was it Bokeem Woodbine's in that movie? Can't get right that hits the baseball a mile. Yeah. If you haven't seen that movie, movie came out like 20-something years ago, so we're gonna spoil the shit out of it. Spoil the shit out of it right now. Yeah, when the warden is holding up the kid to all the black dudes, like to test the paternity, he's like, "No, I'm the daddy, I'm the pappy." Bernie Mac plays a gay, I think gay in prison character. And he's like, "I'm that boy's pappy," and then everybody starts laughing. Jing-a-lang, jing-a-lang. That movie's funny, bro. But yeah, man. Hey, shout out to YouTube TV, bro. Lovecraft Country all day.
Yeah, I got rid of YouTube TV a few weeks ago. Not that they weren't good, but they started at $40, $45 back in.
Yep.
Look, I got it because 2018 World Cup came around. I had just moved into this house. Still didn't have cable because I didn't need it. Again, I was just like, I don't watch TV. I watch Netflix and I'll catch some stuff here and there. But I figured, why not? 30 days free. I'll do YouTube TV. And after that, $45 a month. I was like, it was better than the DirecTV deal where they get you, right? You're paying like $60 and then after a year, you're paying $200 and you're still only watching 3 channels. Even if you have 300 channels, you're only watching like 2 or 3 of them.
100%.
But now YouTube TV is $63 or $64, and I'm still only watching a couple of channels. I don't really see the benefit of it. But if the World Cup comes around or some other event comes around, I'll just create a brand new Gmail account and get a free 30-day trial.
Dude, they don't do 30 days anymore. It's only 7 now.
Damn. So I'm gonna have to get like 5 Gmail accounts. All right.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to keep extending it. Shout out to the fact that we're posting this to YouTube and they'll see the shit that we said.
It's not like they don't already know this shit goes on, right?
Yeah, 100%. Jonathan Vallejo 1-2. Jonathan Vallejo 1-2-3. Jonathan Vallejo 1-2-3-4.
Okay. I'm not doing anything that's illegal. I'm playing within the rules that they set.
100%. But yeah, it was like 7. Now I think my YouTube TV is about that price. But I also got HBO Max, which is how I watch which is like HBO and Cinemax put together. Don't watch any movies from Cinemax. But like what I like about
I got an Amazon Fire Stick. That's all I got. Yeah,
but you have here's why. We'll call it VPN. Here's why the VPN is an issue, right? For me, because of my very slow internet.
Yeah.
Right. Like the VPN thing is a benefit on 100%, but my internet is so slow that it's constantly buffering. You know what I mean? So like, if I try to watch live TV because it's such a high quality that comes through the VPN, my internet is too slow to catch up.
So like even I'm trying to figure this out. Like, how does yours work? Do you have like mice that are on a wheel that then force the dominoes to fall over, and then when the dominoes fall over, it sends like a signal to Billy Bob who's churning the butter, and then that butter starts working its way down? Like, how does
worse than all?
There's so many moving pieces to yours, and then you still have shitty internet. Yeah. I think those people that make your internet run move faster than your internet speed does.
100%. It's worse than that. They're possums, and they only work at night. So like they'll let the thing go, and then like a possum dies, somebody will pick it up, move it away, and then they'll like cook something with the possum. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because like those rednecks got to survive and make it. But no, yeah, it's been, dude. I did like the internet speed like right before I did this because I was like, man, this shit looks slow. Mm-hmm. Like I'm looking at my laptop right now, it's only like 1 bar.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, fuck, what's my internet speed? 8 megabytes. 8, bro. Always a struggle. Always, it's a pet peeve of mine, and I want to get off this topic before I just go on a rant about how terrible my internet is. But thank you, Zoom, for this amazing quality of video with my terrible internet.
Did you set it to HD?
I believe I did. Okay. I didn't uncheck it.
All right.
So I think it's still, I haven't touched. I only do Zoom for this shit. But yeah, man. So just do a quick couple current events. You know, I'm the anti-authority guy. Like I realize why I'm like that. And even when I was in the military, right? Like because I don't like the fact that people in positions of authority can go unchecked. You know what I mean? Like where even like if they're put in that position, that's fine. But like in the military, you always had like, if you had an E5 that was shitty, you had an E6 to check them. You had an E7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would hope so, right? Like hopefully not that they weren't cahoots and they were both pieces of shit, because you know those people, and I was happens. You know what I mean, in the line of those people. Yeah, it happens because people are just PT guys, not necessarily leaders. Yada yada yada. That's a whole different conversation for a different podcast that we'll probably have on Sunday, because I want to have my brother back on the show here soon, because he's about to get his 5 though. He's like this month or in the next 4 to 6 weeks he gets pinned his 5. So I will have to stand at parade rest for him.
Yeah. Look, man, when I was at 6, I had to take a 5 off his position and put an E4 in his place. She's an E7 now. Yeah. Or I think she's an E7 now. She was an E6. I think she's promotable, so she'll get pinned on 7 sometime in the near future. But because 1, he wasn't performing in that position, and 2, the position I moved him to, he was better at, because it didn't require any thinking outside of the box, any creativity. Mm-hmm. It was just, hey, these are the things we have to do in the morning, throughout the day, and in the afternoon. And he was very good at, like, we have a list of steps, following through the steps and ensuring that the soldiers had to do their stuff. Right. But anything that required, like, hey, we got to work with people, we got to adjust, we got to be flexible, which
didn't work.
It's crazy because he was an infantry dude, so you're expected to be like really flexible. But so he had been infantry prior, but he just didn't have that kind of thinking in him, and that specialist did, and I mean I already knew it that she was going to be successful.
Yep.
He was also a guy that I was counseling, and he was going to receive an Article 15. Trying not
The
to.
5 was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try not to. Try to counsel him, and he didn't get it, but, it's...
Is he still in?
He's still in. He's a 6, and I don't know if he made 7 or if he's promotable, but, people like that had people... He was a PT stud. But what's funny was that so was I. So I was like, hey, dude, like, you don't have shit on me. Like, you're Johnny Bravo. You put up 295 pounds, but then you can't deadlift a suitcase. Get out of here.
Yeah.
So he had that going for him, but that was it. So I was like, hey, you can't just be a PT stud and walk around with a fucking coffee mug, because apparently when people get promoted, they just drink coffee. It happened to me. I guess that's how I started drinking coffee.
Right? The Yeti, right? That fucking Yeti.
The Yeti.
Silver. No, that's silver. It was always fucking silver, bro. It was always silver with the black top.
Yeah.
Always. God forbid, Yeti sold a bunch of other colors. It was only ever that glossy silver shit. Like, dude, you're drinking coffee all day, bro? Like, that's what you're doing? Like, fucking 6 a.m.
But then when you start going to these PowerPoint, Death by PowerPoint classes, you realize why you need the coffee. But no, but you're right. Look,
100%.
People like that same power because they don't go check. Because someone before me was just letting him get away with whatever, not doing what he should have been doing. It's like, oh, he's a PT, so he's going to make these numbers go up. We'll cover for him on the back end on something else.
Yep.
And then whoever was allowing that 6 to do that was doing the same thing. And I was like, yeah, nah, we're not going to do that. That's not going to happen. But...
yeah,
and that's at that level. So imagine when it's happening at state level or national level. We're talking about leaders in Congress at the executive level. Yeah,
dude. Like, and that's my biggest. That's the core of my issues, right? Like, I had I think in the core of that is like I had amazing drill sergeants, right? Motherfuckers that didn't fuck around and instilled at 19 an understanding of what a leader should be, right?
Right.
Like, they smoked us because we fucked up, you know what I mean? And they showed us, look, this is what you did wrong. You need to learn from this. Why they're fucking us up? Like, this isn't just this. You failed this private because of, you know what I mean? Like, you had an understanding of why things were broken down to you. And you think about it, in basic, they don't have to explain shit to you. Hey, motherfucker, you doing push-ups. That's it. Like, this is what you're doing. So that's my core understanding of what a leader should be. And then I had he was one of the greatest people I've ever met, Darrell Wilson. He was my E7 my last 2.5 years. I had a shitty E7 before that she didn't like me. She was terrible, but she was an E7, but like stayed E7 because I think she had like a P2. Like, she never, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, and I'm coming out of bed like yo, you can't be, you know what I mean? Like, I at that point I was like, you can't be a shitbag and a leader and try to tell me what to do when you're like literally never there. But it's not like you're getting med boarded. You know what I mean? You're not even in the motor pool. Like, you're handling stuff, but we don't ever see you. Like, when you showed up at 6:30 and 16:30, that's it. That's all we knew.
Jesus.
So I had a great E7 that had like because I would buck up a lot, right? Like, I would buck up at a lot of, like, I had an E5. Yeah, I know, me, right? I know. Yeah. I had an E5 that was a piece of shit. Like, I knew him when he was a 3. He got his 4 and his 5. PT stud, and it was one of those like, I guess we need a 5. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how he got it. Like, he went to PLDC because they had sent everybody else through. You get what I'm saying? Like, it was just one of like, we got to send this dude in. So like, he comes back that Monday and he's like, hey man, we're gonna talk about this. It's like, yo, bro, like, I'm not gonna put his business out there. Like, yo, like, I really know you, son. Like, I've seen what you really are. Like, let's calm down. You know what I mean? Let's not, because I was a 4 and I think I had like 18 months. So I was really like, am I about to leave shit?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yo, man, let's calm down. My son was like, look, man, I know he's a piece of shit. Like, he didn't say it in so many words because he was in the room. Like, look, I know there's challenges here, yada, yada, yada. Then when he left, he was like, look, man, you can't do this shit. You can't undermine the E5 just because you don't like him. Like, you know what the situation, and we had this talk, and I was like, okay, like that to me is a leader. He's like, look, I understand. You know what I mean? Like, people that explain it to you. I think people get too comfortable with with thinking that just because a person is in a leadership position, they also can't talk to you. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you just have to like be okay with whatever they say. Like, no, man, like, look, can I ask them? Can I ask a couple of questions? That it goes back to that whole thing. Like, yo, just ask why. So this whole Breonna Taylor thing, right? So a cop, one of the cops that was already fired for something called, I want to say like wanton entanglement. I don't know how to pronounce it. I thought it was a fucking Chinese food. I thought it was wontons. I was like, what the fuck? What are they doing about Chinese food?
Jesus.
Like, that's kind of weird. So it's basically like being reckless and endangering people's lives, right? Yeah, because he shot into an apartment without whatever. But I was like, but the cop had already been fired, and my very little knowledge of how it works with like grand juries, because it wasn't like the DA goes, yo, we're gonna charge this cop with this. They leave it up to the grand jury. It's smart. It's politics, right? Because that way the DA isn't the one that's charging them. Says,
Right.
look, the grand jury is doing this because the DA has to work with the cops, yada yada yada. And this isn't. I don't, and I'll never understand it, right? Like, if somebody does something that was clearly wrong, and you can look up the Breonna Taylor stuff on your own if you're listening to this podcast or watching us, because it's too much to cover. That's a podcast on its own. But there's no justification for it in any way, right? But what my issue is, it's not the judgment and all that shit. My issue is, like, I watched the sheriff talk today, and at no point was the sheriff like, look, this is what happened. You need to have a better understanding. It was like, hey, man, please don't riot. All our cops are out because you're probably going to be unhappy with this judgment. As soon as they say that, I didn't need to see the judgment. I was like, oh, it's going to be some fuck shit.
Yeah.
It's going to be some fuck shit. It's because it's always some fuck shit. And I was like, why isn't, like, what the system doesn't understand is that people really aren't asking for a lot, right? Like, yo, man, just help us understand. Don't keep stiff arming me or us and being told, sit down, boy. You know what I mean? No, you can't sit here. You know what I mean? Like, sit down. Don't ask questions. Like, yo, man, but why is this happening? No, hey, motherfucker, don't do that. You're going to get arrested. You're being unlawful. You're doing this. You're doing. Yo, I can't ask questions, bro. Like, I can't ask questions. Like, me asking questions is being disrespectful to the police or being disrespectful to authority for asking a question. That's how fickle your authority and position is. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
gonna go ahead because
No, I pulled up Twitter because that's where I get my news from, and I saw a tweet from Candace Owens, the lovely, intelligent Candace Owens. There has not been a single Black Lives Matter case this year in which the victim was not involved in criminality. Not George Floyd, not Rashard Brooks, not Jacob Blake, not Breonna Taylor. Philando Castillo was a true victim. We have come a long way since then. Breonna Taylor was heavily involved in drugs that were being trafficked by her ex. I stand corrected. Whatever, by her ex-boyfriend. Both her car and house were under surveillance for months before the police knocked, and she chauffeured her ex to the trap house and laundered money for him. So,
yeah, like, that's crazy, right? Here's the thing. What her ex, she was with her boyfriend at a totally different address. Wasn't even the right address or the right home. So all that stuff is all misdirection and misinformation.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's what you like. Well, that's what people latch onto. That's the propaganda we're talking about. Like, and all the mayor said was like, be careful of the misinformation. Cool, man. Tell us what the misinformation is, and then also tell us what the actual
information is. And
How
then you
hard
wonder
is
why
that?
people are getting upset, and you have a mouthpiece like Candace Owens peddling this shit,
And it's a huge
people salivating over it.
And it's a huge mouthpiece, right? She has a huge blowhorn. Hater or lover, right?
Yeah.
Huge mouthpiece because she's a token, right?
She
like,
is.
oh, look, if she's saying this, she's the same thing as like the Second Amendment guy, Colin Noir, or anybody, you know what I mean? Like the people who they like, look at this black guy that agrees with me. Look at this black person that agrees with me. Hey man, but look at all these black people that don't. Look at all these Hispanic people that don't.
Yeah.
There's a reason why.
You latched onto the 1 or the 3 or the 5 out of the millions. Okay, so you're going after the exception and not the rule. Okay, I got it. That's how that works.
Yeah. Like this is how we're gonna have this conversation. And dude, it's exhausting. But like, it's so disingenuous. Where again, let's let's give Candace Owen, the grifter that she is, the sold her soul to the devil, or did the same thing as like Dave Rubin, right? Sold their soul to the money because the right wing has a shit ton of money.
Yeah,
right?
they
Let's
do.
just be real about that. And let's say all those things are true. Are any of those reasons a reason to kill her? She was sleeping in her bed. They shot her through the wall. How is that like motherfucker? Cops can see through walls now?
Did anything change? Did they have a warrant?
They had a warrant. They had the wrong address on the warrant.
They had the wrong address on the warrant. So this whole time that they're supposedly have been having her under surveillance, yet they have the wrong address on the warrant.
Yep. Yeah. The actual ex-boyfriend had already been arrested earlier that day.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Like what? Hey man, these cops messed up. I think it was these cops messed up. Let's move on. Look, this is what happened. This is the information you're getting from all the cops should not. The police should never be partisan in any way. When you leave stuff in the air, this is what happens, bro. There has to be an accountability by the people with the most power to have justification for the shit that's happening. Like they keep blaming protesters and rioters, but like if the shit with Jacob Blake happened, like look, this was come out right that day. Look, this is what happened. It was a huge. Oh no, but they got to do an investigation. Say that at the end. Look, this is all the information we have at this moment. We're gonna keep you completely and utterly informed. We don't want another riot like Mike Brown, like Eric Gardner, like what's the Rice kid from Cleveland?
Tamir Rice. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was here.
We don't want any of that. Like this is what like I've yet to see the video of that. You know what I mean?
You won't.
Yeah, like I have yet to see that video. I've seen the video of the protesters deserved. So my internet connection is unstable. Can you hear me?
You're still coming through fine, man.
That's weird.
Zoom is picking up for your lack of internet.
So
you got Billy Bob over there churning the butter at double speed.
Yeah. Billy Bob better get on this shit. I'm gonna have to give him some more meth. I mean,
speaking of meth, hey, look. I wanted to talk. I wanted to talk about this because it happened a few weeks ago, and we haven't really mentioned it on air. We really haven't mentioned it like in our conversations on WhatsApp or anything. Just like a random article here or there. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna read.
Don't sniff. Also, don't sniff.
Don't sniff.
Right before you're
when I say speaking of meth.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna read a tweet from this guy, John Cardillo. I'm guessing he's a Republican, former NYPD person. He's a TV personality. Don't know who he is, but anyway, he supports Republicans, conservatives, and Jerry Falwell Jr. But the reason why I say speaking of meth is because his tweet talks about the mainstream media and how his case and another individual's case is being treated. Jerry Falwell Jr. and his wife had mutually consensual threesomes. Andrew Gillum had a meth-fueled orgy with male prostitutes because he despised his wife and kids. Okay. Look at the difference in mainstream media reporting on those two stories and how Gillum is being coddled. I was just, you said meth, and I just happened to read that tweet, so I had to, because those two cases are it's
completely different.
Completely different, but the same. But the same.
Yeah. But the same, bro?
Jerry Falwell, look, he was the leader of Liberty University, okay? Where male and females are not allowed to be in each other's dorms alone.
Yep.
Okay, they have curfews, and that may have changed over the last couple of years. I knew someone that went to Liberty University. She was one of my commanding officers. They preach these ethics, these morals, these things that they themselves are not abiding by. So forget about mainstream media coddling Andrew Gillum and not treating Jerry Falwell Jr. and his wife fairly. He leads Liberty University that has these strict rules. That's all about great Christian morals. And they're always talking about family values. You know what they're not talking about when they say family values? Honesty and truth. Because these motherfuckers
Yeah.
are saying one thing but doing the complete opposite. And I have no problem with him and his wife fucking the pool boy, or that he's in
Not
the
at all.
corner jerking off while the pool boy is banging his wife out. I don't care.
Raw dogging her.
They're
Yep.
consenting, and that's what they want to do. But
100%.
don't run the university and say you can't have premarital sex when you're out here hiring a pool boy to bang your wife out in the
Real quick,
cabana. Come on, dude.
Here's what's worse.
Come on.
I think when I saw that story, I was like, "There's some Miami shit in this." Like part of it was like something about this.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up being like a Spanish dude from Miami,
Yeah.
right? But we're
Or
like,
Italian or
we're like,
Spanish, Cuban, and they gave him money to run a hostel in Miami on South Beach or something.
yeah, like they gave him money. Like there was he had like recordings of her. Like, oh, you're making me jealous. Like all this shit.
I
It's like,
heard
hey,
that
bro,
phone call
that's not-
with her and
Yeah, that's-
Jerry Falwell on the phone. Like, oh, you're
Yeah.
making her jealous.
Yeah, real quick. It's not the same thing, bro. Andrew Gillum, listen, don't give a fuck. You're not in any position of power. You had a moment there where you could have been governor. You're not cool. Right, but at no point was he like, "Oh, you can't do this." We're pointing out the hypocrisy of Jerry Falwell. That's what you're missing out in those headlines. You fucking cuck. Like let's just be real. Like you're saying you can't, like you said, no consorting with your roommates or with your school classmates. You can't go to their dorms.
Yeah.
No
Opposite
fraternization,
sexes,
right?
no fraternization, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do any of that. So you have HR at your university not letting you be wild. All right, cool. Meanwhile, the guy who's taking all the money and running the entire university is letting another dude bang out his wife. Right? But you're supposed to be the good Christian leader. You can't preach and tell other people what to do when you're doing shit like that.
Listen, by the way, I believe those are good Christian values. A strong marriage needs a good, healthy sexual life, and if that's
for sure,
if that's their sexual preference, if that's what they want, if he likes being a cuck, and I think it's funny, but that's what they want, and it's all consenting adults. Go for it. That's what keeps your marriage strong. But don't preach that shit is against the will of God, and that's part of the rules of your university.
Yep.
Come on, the hypocrisy is, and we have, like the guy that had the tweet, we have these conservatives out there, quick to defend them, and put it on the wife at that, and blame the wife.
Because conservatives are look.
Also, by the way,
for the most part,
don't lose that point.
No,
Also,
go ahead.
the cops showed up to his house yesterday, and he was sloppy drunk. Medics responding to a late night 911 call from Jerry Falwell Jr.'s home find him sloppy drunk. So,
isn't there a thing in the Bible about doing anything in excess, right? Like being like a glutton,
again,
something like that. Like
don't preach these
I don't
things.
know. Don't preach them, bro. Yo, be an alcoholic.
Yeah,
drink, do all the blow in the world. Don't give a fuck. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, harming. You only whatever, but don't run an entire university and have an entire student body so regimented while you're letting another dude raw dog your wife. You know
and you're out there and you're drinking and you're doing whatever else you're doing. I mean,
again,
be free to do that because there's nothing wrong with that. But then don't lead an organization and preach to the congregation saying those are the incorrect values. Those aren't good Christian values and they're immoral, etc., etc., etc. While you're
also
on a yacht,
don't have the presence,
banging out your wife's assistant, secretary, whatever the hell she is.
Whatever she is. That's just messy. Also, don't have the president of the United States on your stage saying 2 Corinthians. At least give him the briefing like, yo, man, it's 2 Corinthians, not 2 Corinthians. At least act like you read the Bible. I've read the Bible once. No, 100%. No, he's rich, and literally it says in the Bible, it is easier for it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. So figure how that's gonna work. It's literally one of the every time like, oh man, but he's a good, like, really, bro, like, what's your Bible say? I'm not even religious. Like I'm completely like agnostic, damn near atheist because of the hypocrisy of Christianity. That's how far I strayed, and I was raised Catholic.
Yeah, so was I.
But yeah,
That's why I'm no longer Catholic.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
and you know
100%.
what? That doesn't mean that you can't be a good person. All that means is
Mm-hmm.
that I don't buy into the bullshit of the church and that religion itself. That doesn't
Yep.
mean that people that believe in Christ and are religious are bad people or don't, you know, that I don't believe that. I don't think that's the case. The whole concept of organized religion is what I have an issue with. And then you have these leaders,
Yes.
they're men or women, they're human beings that are
Very,
preaching
very
one
rarely
thing,
women.
but
Yeah.
living in the opposite way. That whole concept is just a load of bullshit to me. And it took, you just grow up.
Not a little, not a little bullshit. It's very bullshit.
Oh, no, I said
Very
a
bullshit.
load of bullshit. A load.
Oh,
A
I thought
whole
you said
lot
a
of
little. I
bullshit.
thought you said a little bullshit.
No.
It's a whole lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I'll always be that to like bring it back a little bit to the Breonna Taylor thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm always gonna have an issue with authority. That's part of my character and part of my DNA. Like you know what I mean? Like I can't not say something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's been hard for me, like to not go on like Facebook rants when people are like I had to delete a couple people, because it's now it's getting to anti-Semitism. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like very much so like the Nick Cannon thing, where like, oh, the reason why Jews are in power, why they have all the money on, like, oh, okay, like
Hey.
we've just blown
Why do
right
Jews
through
have
it.
all the money, though?
They really don't though, right? Like they really don't.
Why do they have all the money, dude?
Like yeah, because you know how bad like the propaganda is. Like I didn't realize that like the Bilderberg shit and like the Rothstein shit, like or the Soros, like all that. Like I didn't because I don't know Jew. I just recently, well, the last 7-8 years, because obviously because of my wife.
Right?
Like I didn't realize those were like Jewish names because like I would spew out that same propaganda. Like I would like oh man the what was it? It's not even Rothstein, some other shit like
The
Rothschilds.
Rothschilds. The Rothschild. Yeah, Rothschilds. Yeah.
Yeah, the oh man, the Rothschilds are in charge of everything. I would spew that. Listen, not like ignorance is not an excuse. You know what I mean? But I was ignorant to that shit. But yeah, no, dude, it's like the reason it was like this black it was
But the
I'm not gonna say his
Rothschilds
name
are a
'cause-
huge banking family.
yeah but that's just happens to be like, you know what I mean, like that's a thing that happens.
Yeah.
You got that JP Morgan Chase guy.
Mm-hmm.
Was it, you know what I mean, like you have all these people, it just so happens, and like the reason, and here's what that explained to me by my wife, is like the reason why that happens is like they were only ever allowed before their genocide to work in banks.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's the only
That's where it
jobs
began, though.
like that's the part
Yeah.
yeah, that's where that's the part they leave out, right? Like you're only allowed to have this job. This is all you're allowed. So like, that's how like that gave Hitler the talking point of see, look, they're taking everything.
They
from
control
you
all the
and
money.
all this.
They're all the bean
They
counters.
control all
Yeah.
the money. Yeah, exactly. So that's once you get to that, like yo, we've skated by a whole bunch of steps on the route on the fucking path to fascism.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. Like I'm gonna ask you something. Is it weird to me is it weird to you sometimes when you see people that like are completely indifferent about like or just have no idea what's going on? You know what I mean? As far as like seeing the signs of like fascism and authoritarianism they're not even trying to hide it. Like you had the attorney. Like I'm not trying to even make it like a political thing.
Billy
just like
Barr?
asking the question. Yeah, good old Billy Barr saying like we should arrest our political opponents and
That shit.
sedition for protesters. Like what are
Let's
like,
arrest the mayor of Seattle and let's charge these protesters
Like,
with
what are-
sedition. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
read
just
that.
skated by a bunch of and he like it's not even like he said like there's video of him saying it. You know what I mean? So it's not even like a thing that like he doubled and tripled down on it. I was
Yep.
like, I'm looking around like, yo man, y'all see this shit? Like, hello?
I'm
this
not
is-
indifferent to it. I mean, I haven't run into people that. No, I've run into people that maybe they are indifferent, or because it's someone that's on their side of the political spectrum, that part kind of
Right.
just goes over their head. It's like willful ignorance, you know.
Yes. Yes.
But I haven't, like I told you, I haven't been watching the news. I haven't even been watching sports lately.
Right.
but I'm aware of it. I read it and I read it and I kind of look at the wall in front of me and just think like, no one's making a big deal out of this. What's going on?
Nothing.
Fuck it. Let me just
Nothing.
hurry up and get my retirement and get my other business off the ground and get the hell out of here.
Yep.
Retire quietly somewhere, and if I can't live here anymore, go find citizenship elsewhere.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Here's the one thing that bothered me. So Michael Schur, he's a political reporter, right, for the Young Turks, but he does like work for everybody. Yeah. He went to a Trump rally, and this bothered me more than anything I've ever seen. Right, like one of the couples that was there goes, "Yeah, we're thinking about moving to Panama." No, like
what?
Yo, leave my country alone, man. Leave my country. Like, oh, they let you get guns there
Nebraska.
with no problems.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, like move to Panama, like because they're talking about leaving the country if Biden wins, right? Yeah, funny how that works. Real funny. But yeah, dude, I was like, I'll send you the video. It's like a 3-minute clip, and when that dude said Panama. And he goes, yeah, the country, because they let you have guns there, because, the whole thing is like they're going to take away your guns.
You can't have them here either? I didn't know that.
No, you can't. You didn't know that? You can't get guns here, bro.
Shit.
Nowhere.
I should let someone know then. They forgot to grab my AR from me.
Yeah, exactly. I should let somebody know that my shotgun and my 2 handguns that I got in this house.
Fucking idiots.
Real quick. Fucking morons, bro. But anyway, bro, like, Panama, son. Like, could have said anything. Why don't you go to Brazil? You got an authoritarian there, too.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be straight. You'd be good there. Panama, bro. Eso me dolió. Like, eso me, aquí me pegó. Aquí me, like, right here. Like, that shit hurt, dog. That hurt. I felt like Ed Reed in the 2001 national. I'm hurt, dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. Joaquin said dominate. We not doing it.
That's one of the expat couples you're gonna have to deal with whenever you decide to move down there. Panama. Oh man.
Panama, bro.
Why don't they just go to Texas? Like, if they want something different, just go to Texas, right? Texas is its own country, just go to Texas.
Yeah, Rogan's there now. You're good. Like, Texas is gonna succeed anyway. The South is gonna rise again. You'll be able to call black people the N-word, and you'll get all you want.
And you have your guns on your rear window on your truck. Like, you can have your guns everywhere you want, really.
Yeah, exactly. You can have it at the Quickie Mart, whatever the fuck you want to do. I mean, and enjoy Panama. Your tacos and all your. You know what I mean? Don't go to Panama. Leave my country alone. Leave my country out of this. Son, like, when could not believe that motherfucker said that shit. That shit hurt. I was like, Panama?
You know what's funny? If he asked them, where do they want to go to Panama? What are they going to say? Oh, we'll have great free healthcare. I would look at him like, really? Free healthcare?
Weird how that works.
What do you know?
Socialism. How's that socialism?
What don't they have here in this country that you're leaving? Oh, okay. This greatest country in the world, and I'm not saying it's not a great country. That the problem with people that have that mentality is that they, for whatever reason, fail to realize, yes, there are other great countries in the world. The U.S. is a great country, but when you point out that there are other great countries, it's as if you're saying, "Fuck the U.S. Yes. You're not a patriot. You don't love this country. Why are you in here? Then leave." Like, no, dude, I didn't say that. I just said there are other great countries. That's why you want to go to Panama. You Trump supporter, Jesus Christ.
Look, listen, all countries mattered them, and they don't like it. Mm-hmm. Like, the same shit they say. Yeah. Hey, man, all lives matter. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, all countries matter. Oh, so you're saying there's something wrong with this country? No, that's not what we're saying at all. Like, this country's just fine. It's great. Give me all opportunities in the world. Exactly. But, hey, other countries got shit, too. Oh, man, all countries matter. That's what we're naming this one.
All countries matter.
Ooh, all countries matter. But, yeah, and there was some other shit. Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you that I wanted to look into. So the Breonna Taylor family got $12 million last week from the state, right?
Okay.
Or from the city. Question, and I'll look into this, and we'll talk about it on the next show.
Let me know when we talk about Sunday, it on the previous one, because if you figure that'd
be some shit, right? Yo,
I'm gonna go play the lottery.
Son, if I could time travel, out. Oh, 100% playing that Powerball. But I wonder who pays that $12 million. Like, because I'm thinking the citizens pay that, right? Like, the residents of that county and of that state pay that. So
pretty sure it's gonna be some
socialism
kind of
works-
bill, some kind of tax that's gonna be added. That's gonna be
Yeah, like
not a private
it's
company.
weird how it's weird how like that situational socialism works, right? Like, yeah, man, listen, we killed your daughter and your girlfriend right in front of you. We're gonna give you $12 million, but we're gonna make the citizens pay for this because I'm assuming that's not coming out of like the cops' budget, right? Because you can't mention defund the police or be out there. You can't even bring that up.
But understand that the cops and firefighters and all these other places are paid by the citizens anyway.
Weird.
These are socialist programs, aren't they? The reason we have police is because property taxes pay for them.
Weird how that works,
And other
right? Like the
public
reason we
funds.
have like state parks.
Yeah.
The reason we have state parks. That's weird how that funding works. Oh man, that's
Socialism is
mind-blowing.
terrible.
Terrible, fucking terrible,
Terrible.
Fucking socialism.
Defund the police. Oh shit, you're a socialist. I was like, no, you're a socialist because you want to keep the police because we're paying for it, dumbass.
Yeah, exactly. And guess what? If the cops do something wrong, guess who's covering for them? You are, motherfucker, because they didn't coming out of their check. Their budget so go up next year. Fucking idiots. Oh my god. So yeah, man. Dude, it's crazy. It's so crazy. Like that. Yeah, my issues with authority will always be there. Like I almost did a show yesterday or the day before, and I just wanted to rant. I was like, bro, it's not, and I did it right because I checked Zoom to see how it would work, like with the post editing and shit. But I was like, I did it, and then I just deleted it. I was like, because I got it off my chest. You know what I mean? Like
it's like write that email and then you don't hit send.
Yeah, exactly. You just get it all out of your system. Like, yo, you know what? Fuck this and fuck you too and blah, blah, blah. Or like, dude, it's gotten to the point where like I don't even like when my boy Chris sends me like messages like political shit. I'll find like a funny thing in it. You know what I mean? Like it's exhausting now. You know what I mean? Where I don't even want to discuss it, dude. Like I'm fucking over it.
Listen,
like I'm
this
done.
is how funny it is. My power went out. I'm gonna show you this
again.
My power went out a few days ago.
Your power went out again?
A few days ago. It's like three times in the last month and a half, 2 months. And I'm trying to find the message that I got from my neighbor. And anyway, I think I told you about this, but he says, "Oh, Biden's future rolling blackouts." That was his joke. He sent it to me and then one other person who happens to be this bleeding heart liberal, you know, former rich
anti-vaxxer,
white lady,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as the power went out, I was like, "Hey, did your power go out?" He goes, "Yeah, mine went out too." Biden's future rolling blackouts. And I sent him a laughing face emoji because I thought it was funny. But then I followed that up with,
yeah, it's like a joke.
But they're happening during your buddy's presidency.
Yeah.
And then he didn't respond.
Nothing,
He didn't think it was
Crickets.
funny. I thought it was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Crickets.
Crickets. So he
That's a
can
good
throw
joke.
those jokes
That's
out
a
there and then
solid
he's like, "Oh yeah, that's right."
Can't
And then he
never
just doesn't say anything.
Know
It's
what he
funny
did,
how
John?
all
He
these things,
canceled
like, we have what do we have now? A law and order president. I'm like, but the protests and all this crazy shit is happening under your law and order president. Okay.
He's
Not
it
under
adds-
Biden's. Like, you can't use pictures from the shit that's happening now under your president's. It's our president, but, you know, under your candidate's administration, and then say, look, the future of Biden's administration. I'm like, no, you can't. You need travel in time. It's happening now under your administration.
No.
That's how that works.
He's using the footage from his presidency on Biden ads. Like, this is gonna be Biden's America. Like,
But it's
hey,
your
bro,
America
that's the
right now.
Wendy's from Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, hey, bro, real quick, that's the Wendy's in Georgia that got burned down. Like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about here?
This is Trump's America.
I know that Wendy's. Yeah, this is currently Trump's America. Like, this is what's happening right now, bro.
It's crazy because him and his administration and his campaign team, they're geniuses because they know they have a bunch of fucking idiots because they eat that shit up.
Yep.
They're like, yeah, that's right. That's what's going to happen. I'm like, no, it's not what's going to happen. It's what's happening under his administration.
No.
Apparently, he doesn't know how to control that shit. People right because he's letting shit go by that shit.
Andrew Shultz made a point that I hadn't thought of, but I also disagreed with. It's weird. Like, I'm trying to make sure my dog doesn't roll off the bed because he's like fidgeting around and shit. But
he can handle it.
Yeah, he's like right.
He'll be all right.
Yeah, he could because dude, he's gotten taller now, dude. Like, it's weird. Like, he's gotten bigger. But he made a point where he goes, the fact that Trump like doubled down on his base and never reached across the aisle would always like blame them, like fed into the divisiveness, right? When he's like, "Oh, that's a great strategy by him." I didn't finish watching the clip. I think it was like a 9-minute clip, but I was working, so I watched like 4 minutes of it.
Yeah.
And he goes, "But see, now AOC's doing it and doubling down on her." So I was like, "Oh, that's not the right thing to do." I was like, "So wait, so it was a great strategy when Trump, like, and it's not even like he's being like a Trump apologist. It was just like the frame of mind of it, or it was like when Trump was doing it, it's a great strategy, right? But now when AOC's doing it, that's being more divisive because you're doubling now because you're saying like what, like Bernie Sanders tweeted yesterday was like, this isn't just about democracy; it's about fighting authoritarianism, which I tend to agree with, right? Because it's not just what he's saying; it's like what his attorney general is literally saying. So I tend to agree with that type of shit. But I was like, it's weird how like because liberals are framed as like these weak punching bags, you know what I mean? That like and Republicans, great propaganda by them, are viewed as like these strong men.
Yeah.
So like when the strong guy does, you tend, you know what I mean? You tend to want to stand behind Goliath. When David, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when David is like, "Yo, this motherfucker got a slingshot. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?" Like, no. And you know what I mean? But not to say that liberals, because liberals have corporate Democrats have more issues than I can fucking share on any podcast ever.
Yeah.
But it's weird how that works with like AOC's the issue because she's like, "Yo, man, like even though you don't like him, you got to vote for him." Like, oh, but there's all these people in the middle. It's like, I don't know how many people actually are in the middle.
You know what the problem is? The problem is not Democrats or way out left liberals. I mean, the problem is the Republicans know who their base is. Democrats, establishment Democrats are the problem because that's the reason why a lot of people voted Trump in the first place and voted Republican down the battle line or voted Tea Party or voted whatever else is out there, right? Libertarian.
Now QAnon. Yeah.
Now QAnon.
No.
The problem is that there aren't enough AOCs. That's the problem. Her, is it
Rashida
Tlaib,
Tlaib,
the Republican, the Congresswoman from Minnesota, right?
Ilhan Omar,
yeah. That's the problem. There are not enough of them. There are too many establishment Democrats, and people are like, "Nah, we're tired of that shit." And those are the ones that are weak, not these young, new. Junior senators or whatever you want to call them because it's their first term. These new faces, they're the ones that are giving pushback. They're not the weak ones, but they're the ones that are painted as weak ones by the Republican Party, and they get away with it because there are so few of them and so many of the establishment Democrats that just don't do anything.
Like establishment Democrats,
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Establishment Democrats, we're talking about that on Sunday. Like, I need to process that even more because Democrats' cowardice never ceases to amaze me. Like corporate Democrats, never like they're ready to bend over and just take it straight in the ass, bro. Like just whatever you say. Like they're 100. Like they don't get enough blame. You know what I mean? Because they're first of all they're corporate Democrats, so media is never going to call them out because they get paid by the same companies. Right, so they're never gonna be called out. They don't get enough blame for the possibilities of attack and the end of democracy that they're allowing, because again, like they're getting money. Like it's easy to sell out when you have no soul, and when you have nothing to stand for. So,
by the way, the establishment Democrats, you said they have no backbone. It's the same thing with Republicans. There are a lot of them that don't that don't support Trump. Behind closed doors, off the record, right? I've read the articles. Off the record, behind closed doors, they don't support him. Lindsey Graham, 4 years ago, wouldn't push through a Supreme Court nominee because it was during a presidential election. Granted, it was like 9 or 10 months before the election. We're 40-something days away from the elections, and he's like, we're going to do everything. We got to do everything we support President Trump. We're going to push this Republican or conservative judge. But he said, I would not do it if there's another president, another election, and it happens. I would not do it. But 4 years ago, 9 months out, he would not do it. Now that we're 45 days out, he's all about that life. These guys are all about self-preservation. Democrats and Republicans. That's all it's about.
That's all it's about. And we'll end it here on a kind of funny story. I think I got blocked by George Masvidal because he posted real shit. He posted a picture of a possible Supreme Court candidate,
Uh-huh.
and he goes, "Oh man, thank you so much, President Trump, for having nominating the first ever Cuban American for for the position, yada yada yada." And I was like, and I was reading the shit. Then you read all the comments, and I think he went back and forth with some fans, and I forget what he said, but it was like that same stuff was like, "Oh man, like you got to think about it, like we're gonna stop all socialism and all this shit." And I was like, "Bro, when are you Miami Cubans gonna learn? You're just a pawn, son. Like
Right.
you're like what you say, what Cuban American and Cuban conservatives say about black people for the Democrats, is what you are to the Republican Party." And I forget exactly what he said, but it was just so I was like, dude, like first, and one guy goes, this was a funny comment. He goes, "This is like paper towels with Puerto Ricans." You know what I mean? Like this is what they throw. Like it's just throwing you a little bit of sauce on a chicken,
Jesus.
and then you're all in. I was like, that's that.
You know what's crazy is that
fire.
Cuban Americans, this generation, maybe doesn't realize it, but the generation that came before them with when they left Cuba because of Castro and El Mariel in the 80s and all that stuff, the reason why they have all these benefits is because of socialism. I've been doing research lately for family, for Medicare, Medicaid, and so I've gotten deep into the laws of different states and federal law. And who is exempt from, because Medicaid and Medicare is reserved for U.S. citizens or green card holders that have been in the States for at least 5 years. It's and then there's other criteria you got to meet. You know who's exempt? Political asylum people.
Cubans?
And it specifically says, refugees and stuff, but it specifically points out Cubans that can't, like I was reading, I don't even have the exact wording with me now, but it specifically points out to Cubans that were escaping between this year and this year. And I said, yeah, that's why you guys had these built-in. You came to the country, you swam your ass over 90 miles. Yeah, I get it. That's a hell of a risk to take your wife and kids.
Hell of a risk.
And you land here with free healthcare.
Yeah.
You land here with other benefits built in that other immigrants that did it the right way. Okay, and even if they didn't, fine. But the ones that you say did it the right way, they don't have built in because they have to wait 5 years to be a green card holder before they can even qualify for Medicare or Medicaid. No, day one, motherfucker, you had it. So don't tell me that you didn't have any built-in benefits, that you swam 90 miles. Like, that shit was built in. It's written into the fucking law. I read it. But to this day, they say, no, they swam and they had nothing given to them. No, motherfucker, you had everything given to you. It's written into the law for you.
And then I haven't seen you that angry since a barista fucked up your coffee order.
What kills
you
me
got
is
fired
that
up, like you got like red and shit.
Masvidal, these and the Cuban conservatives and Republicans are pawns. It is like paper towels to the Puerto Ricans. Like, here, let me toss you these crumbs. And what's crazy is the Puerto Ricans, most of them, they realize this is bullshit. Like, what the fuck is this? You're full of shit. You're just a mouthpiece, but we're not getting any actual resources that we need. But the Cubans are all about, like, we got to stop socialism. I'm like, motherfucker. Like, the reason why you were set up here when you left Cuba was because of socialism, social programs in this country. Specifically made for you and only you and not other immigrants.
You got the exception in welfare.
And it
housing,
it blows my mind that they don't get it. Willful ignorance, maybe.
It doesn't register.
Yeah.
It 100% is. And it's... I legit, like, he has not shown up on my timeline since I made that comment. I was like, yo, dude, you're a pawn, right? Like, you're a pawn to this shit. Oh, thank you. And it's weird, like, if he fights Kobe Covington, not rooting for either one of them. You know what I mean? Because like, one's a grifter in Kobe Covington and one's like a believer. So I don't know who's worse.
I don't
know who's worse than that.
Nah, man. I think I might be rooting for Kobe Covington. Because I know that he's a grifter. But you know what? God, Masvidal.
I'm not rooting for Candace Owens. I'm not rooting for Candace Owens, bro. I can't do it.
Masvidal needs to, like, be woken up, and I think the only way he gets woken up is by someone putting him to sleep. I don't
think Kobe outpaces him. I don't think he knocks him out. If anything,
I don't know.
I want to see him fight Kamaru Usman again because Kamaru Usman is becoming my favorite 170er.
What's crazy is that they both gave Kamaru Usman a hell of a fight. Like, all political shit aside, George surprised me. Like, the whole Miami thing, I was rooting for him, but I didn't think he was gonna win.
Yeah.
But that dude hung in there.
Heart. Son, I'm still a fan of him as a fighter. It's very funny to me, like, when all these fighters tell like LeBron James and people are like, not talk politics, but then they talk politics.
Exactly.
Like
they turn around and they just start talking politics.
Hey, real quick, you know who I don't want to hear from? A guy who gets punched in the head. I feel like you're not the guy to get political advice from.
Yeah,
you know what
I feel like you're not the guy to tell me how to raise my kids or how much to spend at the gas station. Like I'll just look at the 3 gas stations around me and I'll pick that one that's 2 cents cheaper.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'm not gonna go if I haven't gotten knocked out live on television. I'm not gonna ask you for what you think I should invest in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
tell me which MMA gym I need to go to. 100%. That's about it. Other than that, shut the fuck up.
Exactly. Tell me what my diet plan needs to be. Tell me how much cardio I need to do. I'll listen to you about that because 25 minutes of fighting is insane, and you did it against Kamaru Usman on 8 days' notice. But I don't want to hear from you about anything else political at all.
Yeah.
Keep that same energy that you tell LeBron James. Tell yourself that same shit. Is what I'm going to say. Fuck that shit. My dog's crying. It's about that time.
I guess it's time to go.
It's good time to go. Good talk, man. I did not think we were gonna go so heavy with that shit, but it's a conversation that I feel like people need to hear because it's weird. Like I never think that we say outlandish, wild shit.
Yeah.
Like I never think we're like, you know what I mean? Like people who listen to it, like, oh man, I couldn't disagree with you more because cool. But like what part did we say that was so offensive? We're gonna take your money? Like no, man. Like these are things that are already happening. Yeah. Things that you allegedly have a problem with, but you don't have a problem when it's a convenience thing to you. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, my brother. Sunday, we do it again.
You got
time, Sunday?
Yeah. Before we stop recording, I want to say, if you haven't heard about Jerry Falwell Jr. and his wife and the pool boy, look that shit up. If you're looking for some shit that you thought was fiction, but it's not fiction and it's a real life story, look that shit up. It'll be some good reading for tonight. It might, I don't know. If you're a conservative and you're having struggles with your wife, this might spice up your sex life, give you some ideas. I don't know. It might inspire you to run for office. You might be the next president of Liberty University. I don't know.
Yeah. And if he's gonna recommend Cuckdom, I'm gonna go ahead and just recommend a completely different thing. American Barbecue Showdown on Netflix. That shit inspired me to want to learn how to cook whole hog. And I'm not even that big of a pig guy, but it sounds like watching them do it. That shit is art. Highly recommend it. It's a competition, so if somebody gets eliminated every episode, all right. But seeing these people cook different ways is dope as shit. Learning about different smoke rings and how you have to do certain things. This is the show. Highly recommend it. It's a good ass show. It's a good show. I want to do you know how we grew up with like a hachina. You get that box and you do throw. Yeah, this one they build it's almost like a more like bricks. They stack them 3 or 4 high, and then you put you have to have a metal trash can where you have a hole at the bottom. So you let all this hickory wood burn out, and then it becomes coal at the bottom, right? So you scoop it out, and you have to first of all, you have to cook that shit for 14 hours. Right, so that's insanely long cook because you have to keep it all a certain temperature, and I think after a certain amount of time you have to flip it. It's great. Highly recommend that show, man. Highly recommend.
What's it called again?
American Barbecue Showdown. American Barbecue Showdown. Right. But they cook different things each episode, right? Like that was the finale, right? And then in one episode they have to cook. Different people cook lizard or iguana, raccoon, where they're cooking wild game. They cooked an elk that looked. First, we've talked about elk before. I wanna have some elk here soon. But it's a really good show, and just it goes back to what I always told, what we talked about on a couple of episodes, right? Like the creativity of it. That's the shit that's inspiring. Seeing cooking is creative. The things they do, I've never cooked with this before, and then they do some shit and it comes out amazing according to the judges. It's dope, man. So I'm all about that. I'm on that creative tip now, man. Creating more shirts. I've sent you more shirts that I designed.
I've ignored them all.
That are up in the air. Yeah, you have. Well, you've been busy. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna knock it. You got. You know what I mean? You got a kid heading off to the Air Force in a couple months. I know. Another one that's about to win an Oscar, and your wife is building half the house while you don't
blow his head up that much. And my wife that's building the house while I take naps. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, while you take naps, and then you wake up and you're like, "Oh, you need me to paint this wall?" Okay.
Oh shit, baby, we got a 3rd floor now. Great job. Let me rub your back. Let me give you a 15-minute back rub. Well, you put in like 18 hours of hard labor over here.
Exactly. Fucking crazy. But yeah, man, we'll be back at it on Sunday. All right, my brother. And we'll be recapping UFC 253, possibly with my cousin.
Okay.
And he'll just be talking about Jon Jones the whole time.
Yeah, he'll have his tongue all the way up in his ass. I know. That's
all
how he
the way
does
up
it.
in his ass, tickling all his intestines. Crazy. All right, my brother. I'll holler.
Peace.
Peace. Okay. Again with that one. At least you didn't do this shit. At least you didn't do
Dude,
that.
I never do that shit.
Yeah, you do. You did it once.
Peace.
What is this?
Peace.
Okay. All right. We got it. We got it.
You got it?